The Senate Judiciary Committee holds a hearing focused on reforming ethical standards for Supreme Court justices. This comes after Democrats have launched attacks on constitutionalist justices like Clarence Thomas. One America's Daniel Baldwin has more.
The left, you see, can't tolerate, it cannot accept the fact that one of our greatest American success stories, that of a humble citizen who rose from poverty in the segregated South to become not only one of the Supreme Court's longest serving justices, but also one of the most influential jurists our country has ever known, is the story of a black man who happens to be conservative.
Senate Democrats held a hearing on Supreme Court ethics reform on Tuesday. But Article 3 founder and President Mike Davis says ethics was the last thing on their mind.
It is shameful but unsurprising that Senate Democrats, working with their lapdogs and the liberal media, have run an organized political campaign to attack and smear conservative Supreme Court justices.
The hearing was sparked by recent articles detailing a tight-knit relationship between conservative Justice Clarence Thomas and Texas donor Harlan Crow.
They attacked Clarence Thomas because he has a best friend of 25 years with no business before the Supreme Court whatsoever, and Justice Thomas and his wife and his best friend and their family go on vacations together, and they had a real estate deal together.
Publica released an article showing that Thomas had accepted luxury trips funded by Crow. It further revealed that Thomas made a minor oversight on a disclosure form. Crow had purchased the childhood home of Thomas for more than $100,000. Crow says he meant to turn it into a museum dedicated to the nation's second black Supreme Court justice. Texas Senator Ted Cruz emphasized that Thomas did nothing wrong.
This is about applying a double standard to Clarence Thomas and only Clarence Thomas. The attack that my Democrat colleagues breathlessly repeat is that Clarence Thomas stayed at the vacation home of a very close friend of his, a successful Texas businessman, flew on his plane, and went on his yacht. Well, if that's the standard, going and traveling and being paid for by others, then guess what? Just about every Supreme Court justice has done so, and done so in much greater numbers.
It's all bogus. It's all smears. They go to these law professors, these so-called ethics experts, to get their opinion, saying they're nonpartisan. They fail to point out that these people are former Democrat staffers for Obama and the Senate Judiciary Committee.
And while liberal media continues its attack to undermine the Supreme Court, major news outlets ignored or downplayed the attempted murder of Justice Kavanaugh last year. This while they take aim at conservative justices Neil Gorsuch and John Roberts as well.
You won't know what hit you, the Democratic leader said. A man with a gun, ammunition, knife, pepper spray, and zip ties went to a justice's home to assassinate him. Actually, his stated goal was to murder 3 justices.
Ahead of the hearing, all 9 justices issued and signed a rare statement emphasizing their ethical procedure was not broken and did not need guidance from U.S. lawmakers.
And if the Supreme Court followed Joe Biden's standards or the Congress's ethical standards, they probably would all be in prison.
Ultimately, the bottom line for Davis was crystal clear.
If Democrats succeed, there goes our First Amendment right to speak, to associate, to worship, our Second Amendment right to keep and bear arms, to protect ourselves and our families. It is the end of our country if Democrats succeed in destroying the Supreme Court.
And that just raises the 2024 stakes that much higher. Daniel Baldwin, One American News, Washington.